The Ice Guy and his cool female colleague is definitely one of those very rare cases of a rom-com that goes for a more adult audience, which is really refreshing. I mean, even this season we have like two other really sugary, blossoming love romance series, but they're all technically stuck in school. Series like Watakoi and stuff are truly a rarity in anime, and that's kind of the thing that initially drew me to checking out The Ice Guy. But yes, obviously having a sort of supernatural twist to it as well. But is there enough substance there to make it worth watching? That's what I'm going to get into with my first impressions of the series, so let's jump right into it. The Ice Guy and his cool female colleague opens up with Himuro, who is actually a descendant of the Ice Queen. Yes, the Ice Queen that's able to control temperatures and create snowstorms and everything. And as we open up, he is currently locked down, anchored to the ground on his way to work. He's not able to get up the courage to go, and the nervousness that he has is producing ice and freezing him to the ground. But thankfully, a lady named Fuyutsuki comes by and notices that he's having problems and offers him some hot tea. And over time, talking to him, he sort of starts to cool down and relax, and yes, the ice melts away and he's free to go to work. And yes, it just so happens that the place that he's going to work at, Fuyutsuki works at, which is great for him because it really does seem like love at first sight. He really does like Fuyutsuki and like her calm nature. And yes, he's really attracted to her, finds her cool and cute. We kind of throw some other supernatural elements into this workforce as well, as we have Koori. She's like a descendant of some sort of fox spirit. We have the manager. They claim that he's possibly a descendant of Buddha. And then there's a phoenix guy. So yes, this seems like this is a natural thing in this world. Nobody seems to be surprised by the fact that Himuro is able to create snowstorms, or the fact that this fox lady is able to produce ears and a tail. And what kind of follows this is kind of the interactions these characters have with each other while working, and this the relationships that form in the workplace. What you get from Himuro and Fuyutsuki is the idea that Himuro really does like Fuyutsuki, thinks that she's really cute, very attractive. At the same time, Fuyutsuki's really nice to him, always doing things to kind of help him. And it really does feel like, even though he has his own problems with having his ability and creating snowstorms when he's nervous, it seems like Fuyutsuki goes out of her way to find resolves, find ways of helping him get over that. They have this whole segment where he's afraid of going to the beach because he's afraid he's going to ruin the weather there. And so Fuyutsuki kind of goes out of her way to create like this little kind of sand discs thing so that he can, you know, do image training and prepare himself to go. She's really kind in that regard, and that's something that Himuro really, really likes about her. You have some other relationships booming as well, which, like I said, Koori, who is the fox spirit descendant, she has seemingly some sort of insecurities about her tail and her ears, whereas the Seijima guy really likes them. And they have this cute little moment where she's trying to collect all these prize things from these candies, and he's sort of helping her from the shadows. And then, yes, you have Koori, who is literally the most obnoxious character in the show, who is like some sort of phoenix guy, and he's got this coworker that he works alongside, and she's obviously tsundere for him, even though he's obnoxious. So my thoughts on the Ice Guy and his cool female colleague. I'm kind of in the middle ground with this series so far. I really do think it's really cute. I think Fuyutsuki is absolutely gorgeous. I love the work they put into her character. It really does seem like there is a very unique element that this studio is doing for the series, and I don't know that would be something that would be portrayed in the manga because, again, still panels, but they seem to go out of their way to animate eyes. Like, it seems like the studio, or at least with this project, they love eyes because it seems like whenever the characters are looking at each other, they go out of their way to make Fuyutsuki, and I think even Koori did at one point, the eyes kind of jitter back and forth, almost like that they're looking in two different eyes at the same time, which, yes, you typically get when people get really close to each other. They'll often gaze at each individual eye, and so you have a little bit of that jitteriness with the eyes itself, and I think that's kind of a nice little beautiful added touch. Typically, they usually kind of go with like the whites in the eyes will kind of glitter a little bit, but anyways, I think it visually looks good. I mean, it's not going crazy over the top animation here, and I think they're doing very well in kind of portraying the characters, especially close up. Some of the faraway shots are not as impressive, but it's doing what it needs to do for a rom-com. And like I said before, Fuyutsuki is absolutely gorgeous. The comedy itself is obviously going to be different for everybody. For me personally, I realized really quick that we're getting into a pattern. And that was kind of the fear that I had coming into the series. When I seen the PV, I immediately got Shikimori vibes. I was fearing that this show would basically be another Shikimori is not just a cutie. And the idea that it sets up a problem, Fuyutsuki solves the problem, and then he gets Doki Doki. And he says, oh my gosh, she is so cool. Or, oh my gosh, she is so adorable. She's so kawaii. And it did that. it started doing that for quite a while. It felt like, okay, new problem, she solves it, kawaii. New problem, solves it, kawaii. And that's where I think this show starts to go downhill for me. But it did kind of seem like over time, they sort of started correcting course. And they started pulling away from that by establishing different storylines, like the whole beach visit, introducing the other pairings, like the Fox Lady and the Phoenix guy. So it seemed like they're trying to at least spice it up with some variety with the characters, but I will admit that for a good chunk of these first 3 or 4 episodes that I watched, it really got repetitive. Not to say that those aren't really cute little scenarios, they aren't at the same time funny. That's where I get to my other issue with the show, and again, as per usual, comedy is subjective. I don't know why Andrew has to say that every time. Your mileage might vary, but for me, the show's not funny. Like, I did not get a single laugh if I think about it. I don't believe I had a single moment where I laughed. It's just kind of one of those shows that's just kind of heartwarming and cute, which is perfectly fine for it to do. It's just not, it's not a laugh out loud comedy. This doesn't feel like a rom-com. It just feels like a rom smile. A rom smile. It really does feel like it's going more for like, yes, it's supernatural, but more of a slice of life, cute, romance type of story, which is where I have a problem with the comparison to something like Wotakoi. Whereas Wotakoi, I believe, was really funny, but I think that was mainly in the idea that Wotakoi is relatable for me. With Wotakoi, they are gamers working a job and they have romance blossoming. So you have those jokes around the fact that they are gamers. Whereas this one is just they're just adults. They're unfortunately boring adults that are discovering love. Well, they do have things outside of their job, like Fuyutsuki loves cats and she takes care of her cat, but that's really all you get a sense of for a lot of these characters for their outside life so far. And that could change over time, but the relatability there is only in the idea of working really late hours and again, finding love during that time, which I do believe is doing it very well. These couples so far are really cute together. Right, and again, I can't stand by Koori because he's obnoxious and he's too loud. I think each of these characters has that element of relatability through their workforce and finding romance, and it's very cute in that regard. Oh wait, I have to correct myself. I did chuckle one time, and that was when Fuyutsuki was trying to do a Kansai dialect. She knew that Himura had that in him, so she's like, okay, well, I'll see if I could do it. So she holds up the cat and does Kansai, and I'm like, and that was... It was a chuckle, but at the same time, it was like, oh my gosh, that was super cute. That was super cute. Sometimes that Kansai dialect can just hit you right in the heart. I am looking forward to the sister of Himuro. I believe that she probably could add a nice little spin to it. It seems like based on the OP, she's going to be, find Fuyutsuki to be really attractive as well, probably trying to set him up with her. But that might add some nice little chemistry to the series. But so far, it's just kind of, again, very cute, very laid back, and very heartwarming series that I think, again, we see rarely, and I do appreciate for that. Again, we barely ever get any sort of work-life romance types of shows, and it seems to be doing it so far. But there is a side that makes me wonder what's the point in having the supernatural element, other than to show that Himuro has difficulties and insecurities, and that's manifested through the storms. It seems repetitive at some point. At some point, I can just kind of get that sense from him just looking nervous. Even with Komori, it hasn't so far added anything to the story other than the fact that this guy likes her tail. But there's nothing really else they're telling with that. It's not like there's some element that she has to visit a shrine or visit her spirit people or anything like that. It's just she has a tail, which is I'm fine with. I think she's cute. But at the same time, what was the point? I guess my point is not that I don't like those elements being in it. It's just that I don't see them adding anything whatsoever to the substance of the story. If you pulled those elements out of the show, I wouldn't even know. Make Komori be insecure about, I don't know, a scar on her face or a mole on her face, and Sejima says, I think it's cute. It does the same thing. So I don't know. Maybe they'll do something better with it later on, but for now, it's kind of like, does this even need to be here? But anyhow, that's my thoughts on the ice guy and his cool female colleague. Like I said before, I think it's worth a watch if you're looking for a more adult rom-com, which again, we barely ever get anymore. But at the same time, I don't want to set any expectations high because it's just an okay show. If anything, watch it for Fuyutsuki because yes, she's adorable. Anyhow, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, make sure that like button down below, comment, let me know what's thought of the series so far if you're going to be checking it out. Additionally, if you're new to the channel, make sure that subscribe button so you get all my content. I do news, reviews, first impressions, top list if it's anime, it's pretty much here. Additionally, if you want to support the channel more, we have a Patreon link, tips link, super thanks, and a membership button down below. Greatly appreciate everybody that does, and y'all take care.